Hi, my name is Carl Chatfield. I'm co-author of Microsoft Project Step by Step 2000 through 2013 editions. I occasionally blog at www.projhugger.com. In this video, I want to talk about a notion I call the quality trap. I've given this talk in a few different settings and with somewhat different focus areas, and I'd like to record it now, if you have any feedback on this, please let me know what you think. Now, in content development, I've often seen teams, and I've experienced this myself personally, get stuck on this notion of quality. What does quality mean to us for content development, in particular for expository content, such as how-to content? And often this gets wrapped up in focus areas around editorial or production quality. And I developed what I think is a more actionable way of thinking about this issue, and I'll illustrate that with some references to food. So let's begin with this illustration of a burger and fries. I would call this fast food. Now, probably all of us have had fast food. Some of us have had a lot more fast food than we might care to admit. I've had my share of bad fast food, but frankly, I've also had good fast food. And I pose that same question to you. Have you had examples of both bad and good fast food? Probably so. Let's compare that with another food illustration. And at this point, I should apologize to any vegetarians viewing this, but on the left, I have a different kind of food example, and I might refer to this as gourmet food. Now, I've certainly had good gourmet food, but I've also had bad gourmet food. And I suspect you have as well. Now, gourmet and fast food are two categories of different kind of food, but are they two different qualities of food? Maybe in the sense of nutritional value, we might make that argument, but I would say, we've both experienced good and poor qualities of gourmet food and fast food. So in this sense, I do not think of gourmet and fast food as two different qualities of food. Well, if they're not qualities, what are they? I like to use the term grades. And I don't mean letter grades exactly, like A, B, or C, but I mean grades in the sense of, if you visit a lumber yard, you might see lumber sorted into different grades. And the advice you might get from someone at the lumber yard is, pick the grade of lumber that is most suitable for your intended purpose. And sometimes you'll hear that phrased as the grade that is fit to purpose. And the notion is, if you're doing really high quality finishing work, you go with a certain grade of lumber, but if you're doing some roughing out work that is temporary or won't even be seen, you might go with a lower grade. Now, as you'd expect, there's a difference in price between those two grades, but it's the notion that each grade is fit for its purpose that drives your decision making. Now let's look at this in terms of content development. Now here I've mapped out just 3 grades, which I called baseline, mid-range, and premium. And we could think of content development as aligning to these 3 grades. Now by baseline, I don't mean baseline in the Microsoft Project sense, but I mean baseline in the sense of content that meets our essential publishing standards. This might include criteria such as, is free of technical errors. But that might be it. That might be the only criteria that we apply. And then we move on to mid-range. So that builds on baseline content. So it's free of technical errors and meets a certain level of completeness with regard to compliance with our editorial standards, meets a certain level of production quality. And then premium is the top level. And this would be basically the very best work we could produce. Now, there's an inverse relationship quite often with time to publishing and the arrangement of the grades here. So I might be able to produce baseline content very quickly, whereas premium content might have a much, much longer editorial and production lead time. If my goal is discoverability and timeliness, I'm probably best off focusing on baseline level content. And in particular, if I'm publishing content to the web or in some other fashion where I can add value to that content over time, then I might be perfectly happy to publish baseline content as quickly as possible. On the other hand, if I'm producing content that I may never have the opportunity to enhance, or there's a high customer expectation of the attributes of that content, and I use the example of the manual that comes with your high-performance Porsche. Even if you never look at that manual yourself, you have some expectations about the editorial and production quality, not to mention the technical accuracy of the content in that manual. So that might fall in the premium category. So for content developers, I encourage this focus on, let's define what our grades of content might be, and then let's align our content development efforts accordingly. And produce that content that is best fit for purpose. So again, if discoverability and timeliness is your top criteria, you might aim for the baseline level. If you have other criteria driving your content development, you might move up that chain as you go. I hope you found this this video interesting. If you have comments on this idea, please add them.